And that's what we're going to be talking about today on Hey Sister by Too Cute Sister. Get out now. Quit that toxic job. Leave it before it destroys you. So let's talk about what a toxic environment entails. What makes an environment toxic? We talk about a toxic environment. We're talking about a place where we feel belittled, where we are experiencing anxiety. You get up in the mornings and just the thought of going to work makes you physically sick. And I do mean physically because I have worked in a toxic work environment where the leaders are toxic. The whole building, the whole setup is toxic. So when I talk about it being toxic, I'm talking about where there's a bunch of micromanaging, where you cannot do your job for someone else, looking constantly over your shoulders, trying to correct you, trying to tell you how to do your job. And once you do something, they're going behind you and redoing it. They may even be talking about you or saying things about you to belittle you. They are playing favorites. That means there's a favorite employee or a few favorite employees. There's a clique, and everybody knows who the favorites are. And those of you who are not in the clique, you're just out. You are experiencing anxiety, extreme anxiety about going to work. I can remember having a job where it was toxic. I worked in a toxic environment, and I did experience anxiety about going to work. I literally would get up an hour earlier before I went to work, and I would have to lay on my knees, prostrate. I would have to get on my knees. I had to lay on my stomach, prostrate in prayer for an hour before I could get ready to go to work because it was just so bad. I hated to be there, and I could not find a way out at the moment, and it was just wreaking havoc on me. I could not sleep. I was having nightmares. I was dreaming about going to work. I was dreaming about what was going to happen when I got to work. Oh, and what was I going to do? How could I have my planning time, or how could I have whatever time? I would immediately, when I had a break, run out to the car or run wherever I could to get away from this place. And I hated to answer my phone if I saw my work number because I didn't know what they were calling me for. I didn't know what they wanted to talk about. I didn't want to hear it. I had sleep issues. So all of these were the result of working in a toxic environment. And if you're working somewhere where you feel belittled, where you feel like you're not important, where no one values you, then it's time to make a move. It's time to transition to something else. And we talk about playing favorites. I have also worked in places where there was a clique. You were either in the clique or you were out of the clique. And I always told a couple of my co-workers this. I said, we are here, we work with the haves and the have-nots. Some of us are the have-nots and some of us are the haves. And at that particular job, I was sort of stuck because I was in transition between the haves and the have-nots. But this particular one where I was at the haves and have-nots, it wasn't quite as bad as some of the other jobs I worked at where the environment was toxic. But you should never be put in a position where you work in a toxic environment. Leaders who are in these toxic environments, well, let's be honest, they are usually the cause of the toxic environment because of the way they lead, the things that they do. And these type of leaders are only focused on themselves and their needs. They don't care about anyone else. They don't care about anyone else's needs. They can destroy a workplace, and they do this by lying. They may tell one employee one thing and tell another one something else, or they just may outright lie. This is what they do. They are inconsistent. The same rules don't apply to everyone. They are self-serving, and they just don't have the overall needs of the team in mind. As a matter of fact, they don't care about the team. As long as they're getting what they want, or as long as they're friends, or doing serious decisions. You have to decide, is this where I really want to work? Am I willing to sacrifice my health to be here? And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you, girl. The pay is not worth it. It may pay really, really good money. But if you are suffering, if you are being belittled, if you don't feel good, if your health is being impaired, then it's time to make a move. Do not allow this person to have control over you. I did it. I'm guilty. You cannot. And it's easier said than done, but don't let them ruin your happiness because of their pettiness. So what you have to do is make your mind up. I'm going to stay or I'm going to go. What's going to serve me the best? What's best for my family? What's best for my mental health? Can I take this? Okay, so once you have decided to do whatever you're doing, stick with your decision. My next thing I want to talk about is what are the results of leaving a toxic work environment, especially if it's the boss and they have a lot of power, they have a lot of control. The problem is after you quit, these people may give you a bad reference. When other jobs call to check on you, they can tell them bad things about you. Some of it may be true and some of it may be a lie. Most of the time, the majority of it is a lie. They're going to add stuff onto it. Because remember, you left them and they're angry and they don't want other people to hire you. And you can be at a place where this person is actually trying to get you to quit. But once you quit, they're angry. They're mad with you. So they go out of their way to make it difficult for you to get a job. They have what I call, they blacklist you. They make it hard for you to find work. And I've had this happen to me. I had a lady who was my boss. She did not want me to work for her. She did everything she could to get me to quit. She made life so difficult. Like I said, I used to have to get up an hour early before I went to work to pray so I could have some strength to stay at work, to get through work, and survive. Eventually, this began to affect my health. I don't mind sharing. My blood pressure went up. My hair started coming out of my head. I would start getting hair in my hands because this I was getting migraine headaches. And I had to come to the conclusion that this is just not worth it for me. I was trying to wait her out. I was like, God, maybe we'll get somebody else. Maybe somebody's going to help. And I was doing everything I could. I was notifying our supervisor, because I went through the chain of command and she was the first one in my chain of command. So I actually had to write a letter to her voicing my complaints. And then I had to wait there 14 days for her to respond and see what she said. And then I had to go to the next person in the chain of command and see what they had to say. And they were trying, but nobody would do anything with this lady. But they weren't trying as hard as they could have, because this was a situation that could have been remedied, but they did not remedy it. So finally, I had to make my mind up that this was not worth my sanity. This was not worth my health. And so I resigned from that position. As a result, this lady blacklisted me. She gave me horrible references. I did not even request references from her. She made it her business, because she turned this into a whole personal thing, to try to find out where I was working, to find out where I was going. And she would literally give me a bad work reference. And I'll never forget, after she finally left her position and I went back to that position, another person came to that job and they were trying to rehire me, and they went in and found my personnel file and they said, I want you to see this. She had a file this thick, and I don't even know, I didn't even work for her but a year. She was my supervisor for a year. It was absolutely awful, the things that she had put in there. It was awful, the things that she did to me. It took me, before I could get back in that particular school district, it took me 10 years. So she made it her business to make life very difficult for me. The reason I was able to be successful in my career was, in spite of her, was because I already had built up my work record. People already knew me. And it was people who knew me that hired me for jobs. And after that, I just stopped putting that place down for a reference, because I only worked for her for a year. And things went much better. But it's just be aware that when you're leaving these toxic work environments, these people may decide to blacklist you. I cannot tell you what to do, but if I were you and I'm in a toxic work environment, the best thing to do is to seek employment somewhere else. Because a lot of times, even after you've gone through the chain of command or you've done the things that you are supposed to do, it can still backfire on you and end up giving you a bad work reference, or bad work record, or destroying the career that you have spent so much time building. It's a sad fact, and until things change, this is what we have to deal with. So just wanted to share about a toxic work environment. If you have something you would like to share, please leave it in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. We have to make a decision for ourselves about whether we want to continue to work in an environment that is toxic or not. Just be aware of the ramifications of you leaving that job. Be aware of the ramifications of you staying at that job. Know what your options are. Make informed decisions. Do what is best for you. So thank you guys for listening. This has been LaWanda Shields with Hey Sister on 2Q Sister, and I'll see